Hi, I'm Crystal Ashworth from Sputnik Moment. We help foundations implement the FoundationConnect package by Empower. Today we're going to talk about how to add instructional text to the FoundationConnect portal. Instructional text refers to the spaces at the top and bottom of most FoundationConnect portal pages where foundations can add text that they feel would be most helpful to their applicants. Some examples of instructional text could be explaining how to navigate through the portal, or listing who to contact if they have questions during the application process. Also, instructional text is different from help text fields that are also available in your FoundationConnect configuration. Look for our tutorial that addresses help text field creation. The first step to adding instructional text is determining which page on the portal you wish to add the instructional text to. Instructional text records are created in Salesforce and reflected on your FoundationConnect portal. From your Salesforce screen, you should have a link called Portal Login in the Custom Link section on the left sidebar. Click on that link and log into the portal. In this example, we will be adding instructional text to a request record on the portal. Click the edit icon next to a request. Let's say we'd like to add some text to this Details tab. The instructional text would appear above the Save button. To determine the page name of the Details tab, we have to take a look at the URL at the top of the screen. Look for the .aspx, and then look for the name just before the dot and beginning after this slash. So the page name of the Details tab is Grant Application, and now we'll know what to look for when we go back into Salesforce to set up our instructional text. Let's hop back over to Salesforce. You may also have a link under your Custom Link section that will take you to the instructional text setup area. If so, you can click on it to navigate directly to the setup page. If not, you will have to navigate there manually. To do this, click on your name up at the top of the screen and select Setup. Under App Setup, expand the Develop section. Click on the Custom Settings link, and finally click the Manage link next to instructional text. From this screen, I always like to sort by the page name column because I can then use the alphabet shortcut at the top of the screen to jump to the pages that start with a certain letter. Since we are looking for the grant application page, after I sort, I'm going to click on the letter G. I'm going to click on the page name column to start my sort, and then click on G. The FoundationConnect package comes with a set of instructional text records already created, so you may see an existing instructional text record for the grant application page. If that's the case, you can simply click the Edit link next to the record you wish to add text to. There are two locations on this page where we can add text. One is at the top, the other is at the bottom. So let's click on the Edit link next to the record that has a location of top to view the details. The first field that you see is the name. This is simply a short description of the record. A common naming convention is to use the page name, followed by a dash, and then the location of where the text will appear. In this case, Grant Application -Top. The description field is where you will actually enter the instructional text that you wish to display. Note that you can use simple HTML tags here as well, such as bold, italics, color, font size, etc. However, you are limited to 255 characters, and any HTML tags do count against that limit. So let's put some simple text in this field with the HTML tags to make it bold. Since this instructional text record already existed, the location field already has the word top in it. But if you were adding a brand new record, you would just type the location here. And the page name is also listed. But again, if you were creating a brand new record, you would just type the page name. And finally, there is a field for record type ID. This is helpful if you have multiple grant programs and you wish to differentiate your instructional text by program. Inputting a record type ID ensures that the text will only display on the portal page for that particular record type. That is a more advanced functionality that we will not be covering in today's tutorial, but I'll show you at the end of this demonstration where to find further documentation on that. So now we've completely filled out our instructional text record and we can click Save. And since we're in a test environment, we have to clear the cache in order for our changes to be reflected on the portal. So I'm going to click on the Home tab. The Clear Cache link should also be in your Custom Link section. Click on that link. Click on the Clear Cache button. And since we're already logged into the portal, we can simply click on the My Submissions link. You may have to log back in. I'm going to select the same request that we looked at before by clicking the Edit button. And now we can see the instructional text that we just added up at the top of the page. Now that you know how to add instructional text, here are a few instructional text tips that we found have been helpful during client implementations. Number 1, put the grant program name in bold or capitals at the top of every portal tab. This helps people remember which type of application they are working on as they move from tab to tab. Number 2, if you aren't sure which text to add, one of the things we've done is during the testing phase of our projects, if we notice end users are asking some of the same questions, we use instructional text to answer those questions up front, such as who to contact within the organization for questions on the application process, or what the red lines mean next to field names when they're required. And finally, number 3, if you really want an applicant to read something, we found that it's helpful to bold, italicize, or change the color of the instructional text to catch their eye. Otherwise, they may just skim over it. And finally, I mentioned that we would look at where you can get help on more advanced functionality for instructional text. In Salesforce, you should see a tab called FC Documentation. If not, you would simply click on this plus sign at the end of the list of tabs and then search for the FC Documentation tab. Clicking on this tab takes you to the full FoundationConnect configuration documentation. I'm going to type in instructional text in the search box and click Submit. From the search results, click on Instructional Text. This documentation gives you a detailed description of how to configure instructional text records. Also listed here is a document that you may download that shows all of the preloaded instructional text records that come with the FoundationConnect package. If you scroll down the page, you'll see this link here that says Provided for Download. At the very bottom of the documentation is how to configure instructional text with a record ID, record type ID. There are even links to documentation on how to locate the appropriate record type. The FoundationConnect documentation is a really great resource to use when you need some additional guidance on configuration of your system. That concludes our tutorial on creating instructional text for FoundationConnect. Thanks for watching, and be sure to check out our website and blog at www.sputnikmoment.com and like us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/SputnikMoment. Thanks, and have a great day.